Thank you, Jonathan. We've got breaking news from the VOCM newsroom that Premier Kathy Dunderdale is going to resign tomorrow morning at 10:30, and that in all likelihood Tom Marshall, if approved by caucus, will be named the interim premier. Dunderdale got back in the province today, cutting short her Florida vacation in light of things that happened on Monday with the story we broke about Paul Lane crossing the floor to the Liberals. She is meeting with people tonight. The calls are going out now. You can go to VOCM.com and see more details about the resignation, which is expected to happen tomorrow morning at about 10:30. She has her caucus meeting at 9:30, which will be her final caucus meeting. She will resign at 10:30, and at that point in time, I guess during the meeting, the caucus will have to approve that Tom Marshall, who says he's not running again in the next election anyhow, will be appointed interim premier. He is the finance minister, of course, former natural resource minister. He's held many portfolios, former justice minister rather. So the breaking news out of the VOCM newsroom is that Premier Dunderdale will resign tomorrow morning.
That is incredible. Thank you very much to our news director, Fred Hutton, for bringing that to us. I suppose there are a great number of people who are nodding their heads and a great number who are shaking their heads after this news.
Well, you know, some people will say that she didn't get a fair shake. Others will say it's time to go. But basically what's been happening within the party and what we've been reporting over the last few days for sure, more so than even in the last few months, is that the Conservatives cannot pull out of this tailspin in the polls, and they're getting closer and closer to the next election in 2015, and that they've got a good war chest built up. They've got people who want to run. They still have 37 seats, or 35, sorry. 34. Doing some math there. So it's been a difficult time for Kathy Dunderdale, and they just cannot seem to pull that out of the tailspin in the polls. So what she's decided to do, obviously, is step aside now, let somebody else come in. There are some people in the party who've been rumored to want to do this. Darren King.
Right.
Derek Daly. And Keith Hutchings has been thrown around as one of the names that might be there as well. And the fourth name escapes me right now as I'm looking at 4 different text messages and Twitter. So it's going to be an interesting time to see who runs for the leadership, or if they bring in somebody from the outside, if they're going to need an outsider to come in to pull this sort of out of the fire, as it were.
That's right, and I believe they have up to 90 days to call a leadership convention.
They do, yeah, and our legislative reporter Danielle Barron has been working on this all day. Basically what happens.
Okay.
You know, what's the process if Premier Dunderdale does resign tomorrow? She has resigned. If she does resign, rather, and she's expected to do so tomorrow morning after her caucus meeting.
Fascinating. So we have three political parties in Newfoundland and Labrador, and within 12 months, all three will have had a leadership review, so to say, and it looks like going into what will most likely be the 2014 provincial election as opposed to the 2015 provincial election, there will definitely be two brand new faces for this battle. It certainly is that, isn't it? And like you said, the Progressive Conservatives do have the strongest war chest out there out of all three, and the Liberals, I think, are $700,000 behind. This may be able to generate funds for all three parties, don't you think?
Well, it will indeed. It's going to be it's going to be a wild year in politics. What a wild month it's already been. This is the first. We're not even into the third week. I don't even know what the date is, to be honest with you. After the blackouts and everything that's happened in between, and
right.
You know, however much snow we've had. Aside from that, politically, this has been a wild fall with, back in the fall when you saw the NDP situation, Jerome Kennedy leaving politics, a by-election, there was a municipal election all across the province. It has been very busy politically, and it's only going to ramp up. I forgot about the Liberal leadership.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to have a Conservative leadership race now. There's going to be an election well in advance of the October 2015 election.
Most definitely.
Which the province wanted to potentially move anyhow because it would have clashed with the federal election.
Right.
So, I mean, that will solve that problem quickly, because if you add a year and 3 months to tomorrow, it doesn't get you anywhere near October 2015. They're not going to do it during the summer.
No, certainly not. And of course, they would have to do it in the fall or the spring, because winter is always it's a bit of a pain when it comes to getting people out, to getting the vote out.
Well, you look at an October or an April or May election, basically.
My goodness.
Possibly maybe early June. But once people go on holidays, they don't want to hear about politics.
No.
So it's not going to be in July or August or late June. Definitely not. I mean, I know we're jumping the gun here because the official announcement hasn't been made, but once again, for listeners who may just be tuning in, VOCM News has learned that she will resign tomorrow morning and that Tom Marshall will, in all likelihood, be named interim premier.
It is most likely a very long airplane ride for the premier of Newfoundland and Labrador tonight.
She's back. She's back in the province now. Yep, okay. She's back in the province, and the calls are going out to say that she's gone tomorrow.
My goodness. So we will have an interim premier, Mr. Tom Marshall, who is currently the Minister of Finance. I suppose there will be a minor shuffle to put somebody in finance because we have a budget that is a couple of months away, if not sooner.
Well, they're right in the midst of their they're getting ready to do the pre-budget consultations. Talk about throwing things up in the air a little bit, obviously. I'm going to take a call right now and get back to you, but that's an important call that I'd like to
Absolutely.
take. But again, just to let your listeners know that that's what's happening, the resignation coming tomorrow.
Thank you very much. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. News Director Fred Hutton with a very, very important update.